What's up, guys? Rant and Rich here, and today I'm going to be giving you my picks for UFC 231. It's going down this Saturday, December 8th, 2018 in Toronto, Canada. It's going to be headlined by Brian Ortega and Max Holloway. Pretty interesting. If you guys remember that their first scheduled fight got canceled back in July, I believe, due to Max Holloway's mystery health issues. I'm not sure. I was excited about the fight back then. I'm excited about it now. Also, don't forget about the co-main event. We have Valentina Shevchenko going up against Joanna Jedrejczyk. Co-main event should be two great fights. Whole card stacked with great fights. Can't wait for this weekend. Now, how's the old expression go? Winning ain't easy. Well, you know something? Winning is not easy, but lately, I've been making it look easy. I mean, come on, let's be real. Without patting myself in the back too hard, the last three events, the last three shows, I have made a profit, meaning that if you guys have taken notes, kept up with the shows, and watched, you made a profit too. Don't have to really base everything off $100. That's a little steep for most people's pockets, but you can break it down and divide it any way you want, and you still should have made a little bit of money. So this time around, we're going to keep the streak going. This is the fourth show in a row. Gotta make a profit. That's the whole point of the game, whether you're doing fantasy, whether you're betting, whether you have a pool at work with amongst friends, doesn't really matter. It all amounts to the same thing. We want to win. We want to pick the right fighters. I'm not going to do every fighter. I think that's a waste of time. I respect the shows and the people that do that, but for me, I'm targeted towards a different audience. I'm targeted towards people that it'll actually count and it'll actually matter to have a little extra money in your pockets. And of course, I mean, it's Christmas season, so that never hurts. So again, I'm going to start off with $1,000. I'm going to make my single picks. If I do have any parlays, you'll hear those too towards the end of the show. And that's it. That's the name of the game. I'm going to break down these fights, not too much in detail. I don't like to get too involved in that. But I will give you some information. I will give you, of course, the reason why I'm picking these fighters. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time. Let's take this to the studio. I want you guys to not miss a beat. Here it goes. Picks with Rich, UFC 231. Check it out. Hey, so this is my first fight of the night on the FS1 prelims. At 155 pounds, we have Oliver Mercier taking on Gilbert Burns. Mercier is the favorite at a minus 135. He is 11-3 in his professional career. I'm somewhat familiar with Mercier. He's coming off the Ultimate Fighters Nation season. This was back in 2014. I did watch the show. Sad to say, I know it. And I saw him grow throughout the show. He made it to the finale. Unfortunately, he did not win the contract, but the UFC saw something in him, kept him on, and he's been doing fairly well ever since then. I mean, like I said, he's 11-3. He's only lost 3 fights. His last fight actually was a loss against Alexander Hernandez. This was back in July earlier this year. But besides that, he's been really kicking ass. I know he's an underrated fighter, and maybe that'll change this weekend. He's an all-around good fighter. His stand-up, I guess you could kind of lean towards his jiu-jitsu skills. Maybe his grappling's a little bit superior than his stand-up. But either way, taking it to the mat, getting that rear naked choke locked in, or standing up, trying to grind out a decision. He did knock somebody out recently. I'm curious to see how he's going to come out for this. Gilbert Burns, moving on to him. He is also a great, well-rounded fighter. He's coming in as the underdog at a plus 105. So this fight is fairly close. They're giving it a little bit to Mercier. They're leaning that way, but I mean, Burns can definitely get it done. He's 13-3 in his professional career, also coming off of a loss to Dan Hooker back in July. That might have been the same card. I'm not sure about that one, but both coming off of losses. They both have something to prove. Both fairly young guys with a lot of potential. Very, very evenly matched. I say this all the time. The UFC has been doing great matching fighters up, and they did it again on this one. So as of late, Gilbert Burns, though, has had more knockout wins than submission. Now, back in the day, it was the other way around. He has some decision wins in there also. So very evenly matched. Curious to see how it goes. But again, I'm more familiar and more confident in Oliver Mercier. So I think I'm going to take Mercier. I think he's going to win by decision. And I'm going to take him for $100. So I'm going to risk 135 to make 100. Okay, so second fight of the night at 115 pounds, we have Claudia Gadelha versus Nina Asarov. Gadelha is coming in as the favorite at a minus 310. She is 16-3 in her professional career. She's coming off of a win against Carla Esparza back in June of this year. She has a good ground game, and in this fight in particular, I think she needs to take it there. Not to say that her stand-up is bad, But I think her strongest point in this fight especially is that she needs to work on that jiu-jitsu and try to lock in that submission. There's a lot of great things you can say about Gade. She's been in there battling some of the top tier females in the organization, so got to give that experience definitely to her. And with that, I think a lot of confidence is going to come out of that. So Nina Ansaroff, on the other hand, she is the underdog at a plus 260. She is 9-5 in a professional career, coming off of 3 wins in a row, which is great. I'd say just looking at her fight history, her advantage leans more towards the stand-up game. Good striker, I've seen her strike before. So she might have a slight advantage on the feet. Again, she does have that slight leg reach on Gade, so she may try to use those teeps to keep the distance so Gade doesn't try to take her down. She also does have some pretty good takedown defense. So again, if Gade can take it to the mat, I think that's what Gade should do. I think that's what she's going to do. And if she can take it there, that'll be her way to win this fight. So with everything being said, I'm going to take Gade. I think she's going to win by submission. I'm going to take her to win $100, so I'm going to put up 310 to win 100. Okay, so this is my third fight of the night at 145 pounds. We have Hakeem Dawodu versus Kyle Bochniak. Dawodu is coming in as the favorite at a minus 170. He is 8-1-1 in his professional career, coming off of a win against Austin Arnett back in July. I think he's a better striker. He's got a small reach advantage, and he's got a great takedown defense. So depending on the circumstances, it seems like he's covered all around. Kyle Bochniak is the underdog at a plus 140. He is 8-3 in his professional career. His biggest advantage is he's from Massachusetts, and so am I. No, but on a serious note, he is coming off of a loss to Sabib Magomed back in April. But I'll tell you one thing, he did lose, but he is tough as nails. He's very, very hard to put out. His defense isn't the sharpest, but I mean, he can take a punch, I'll tell you that. I think in this fight, because he's somewhat of an all-around type of fighter, I think he should try to take Dawodu down. I think he should attempt the submission or the ground and pound and test out Dawodu's ground game. So my pick for this one is Dawodu. I think Dawodu is going to win by decision. I'm going to risk 170 to make $100. Okay, so next up we have Jimmy Manawa versus Thiago Santos. Seems like Thiago Santos is fighting a lot this year, man. Every time there's a card, I see his name on there. Not a bad thing, I'm just saying. So this is at 205, and starting off with Manawa, he is the underdog at a plus 170. He is 17-4 in his professional career. He's coming off of 2 losses in a row. His last loss was against Jan Blachowicz back in March. So I don't know if it's the same Jimmy Manawa as old. I know he's getting a little bit older. He's 38 years old now, so maybe the age is catching up to him. Not sure, but we all know him to be a heavy hitter, great hands, one-punch KO power. That's really all you need to know about Jimmy Manawa. But really, I think this is all or nothing for him. I don't know how many fights he has left on his contract. I'm not saying he's going to retire just because he's getting a little older. But I think he's ever going to make another title run, especially later on in his career. He really needs to get this fight done. I really think he needs to do it. Moving on to Thiago Santos, he is the favorite at a minus 210. He is 19-6 in his professional career, coming off of 2 wins in a row, opposite of Manawa. His last win was by TKO against Eric Anders back in September. He's got the KO power. He's got a very, very slight advantage on the mat. He usually doesn't show his skills on the mat, and if he does, he's usually the one on bottom. But maybe he'll take it there. Maybe he'll change up the game. I'm not sure what he's been focusing on in his training camp, but you never know. But some of his downfalls are that he does get a little sloppy. His defense, his hands come down. He gets that chin sticking out just a little bit. So I think he needs to keep everything nice and tight. Keep that chin tucked in tight. Keep those hands up no matter what, because he does not want to get clipped by Jimmy Manawa. I'll tell you that. So after everything's been said and done, again, pretty evenly matched fight. But I'm going to take Thiago Santos. I think he's going to win by TKO KO. And I'm going to take him for a risk of $210 to make 100. Okay, so this is going to be my last breakdown fight. This is actually going to be on my parlay, so I'll get to that in just a second. This is going to be the main event. At 145 pounds, we have Max Holloway taking on Brian Ortega. Max Holloway is the slight favorite at a minus 125. He is 19-3 in his professional career, coming off of 12 straight wins. Can you believe that? And that's pretty incredible. His last loss was back in 2013 to the notorious Conor McGregor. That's right. But since then, he's been tearing it up. I mean, his last 2 wins were against the same guy, Jose Aldo. He beat him in the same fashion, TKO KO. He beat him in the same round. They were both in the third round. He beat him with similar times left. There was under a minute left in both fights. Now, to do that to Jose Aldo, I mean, come on, that's saying something. Holloway is a great all-around fighter. I'd say if he has any strong advantage, it's definitely on the feet. I mean, he can take it to the mat. He can defend well. He can pretty much do everything. As long as he can stay healthy, and as long as this fight actually goes to Saturday and happens, both fighters make weight and nobody gets sick and everybody's doing things the right way, should be an exciting fight. Moving on to Brian Ortega. He is the underdog in this one at a -105. He is undefeated at 14-0. His last fight was against Frankie Edgar, and it was a first-round KO. Now, Edgar has never been KO'd in his career, and if you know Frankie Edgar's career, you know he's been around for a long time. So this was a first for Frankie, and Frankie was on a great run. Brian Ortega is just that good. I guess opposite to Holloway, I'd say his strongest point would be on the mat. His jiu-jitsu game is pretty damn good. But like I said, I mean, he just knocked out Frankie Edgar, and Frankie Edgar's never been knocked out. So do not underestimate his hands. This fight could do anything. It could go anywhere. I think it could stay on the feet, go to the mat. And with 5 rounds, again, championship rounds are going to come in strong. Max Holloway has been there. We have seen him gas, but we haven't seen him gas out. I'm wondering about Brian Ortega. I don't know how his gas tank goes into those championship rounds, but we're going to potentially find out this weekend. So like I said earlier, when I started with $1,000. I can't go over that. That's my limit. As of right now, I'm at $825. So really, because I do everything based off $100, I can only parlay these fighters for $100. So this parlay, I'm going to take Max Holloway, Claudia Gadelha, and Valentina Shevchenko. I'm going to take those 3 fighters for a $100 risk to make $200. Okay, so after calculating everything, my total risk will be $925, and my total gain potentially will be $600. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm putting up a lot more to make a lot less, but they were all favorites, and that's something I usually don't do. I usually have 1 or 2 underdogs peppered in there. I always say that you can find an underdog in an event that'll win. This time around, I'm going with all favorites. I'm going to have to risk a little bit more, but hopefully they all win. If they all hit, I'll be up $600, which is great to me. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my picks for UFC 231, again going down this Saturday, December 8th, 2018 in Toronto, Canada. There were a lot of other fighters that I would like to have picked, but the odds were just way too high. It didn't match up. I don't want to take such a big risk on, even if I do like a fighter, it's got to be somewhat level. In the heavy favorites that I had on my picks, that means I really feeling confident about that. So hopefully they all hit. Of course, if 1 or 2 do lose, I'm thinking that the other ones will weigh it out. And then the parlay, I got to hit the parlay. I mean, that's very, very important. Smaller risk, but the payoff, because you're taking so many fighters, is definitely a bigger shot. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please share the word about the show. This is free money. It doesn't take a rocket science just to sit back for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, watch the show, make some money. Everybody's happy. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, share. If you enjoyed the video, again, like it, comment, anything, good, bad, whatever you have to say, please comment below. Let me know how it's going. Let me know how you did. If you had any other different fighters that you put on yours, I'd like to hear it, of course, always. But that's going to do it. Until next time, as always, Rant and Rich here, signing out from sunny SoCal. I'm out of here. Latest.